I think what Dr. Pepper did this week was what I've been looking for, that I've been missing in sometimes in like the chat, and sometimes like when I hear people talk about this, it's like Dr. Pepper was able to successfully call Eric out on his controlling behavior. They didn't get into the manipulation. They didn't get into the gaslighting, and they didn't get into his angry outbursts when he's drunk or the budding verbal abuse. They didn't really get into the major issues that are actually brewing in their relationship. But she was able to call him out on the things that she knew for sure, while also holding Virginia accountable for her drinking. These are two separate swim lanes. Kojo, every time you do this, I get so surprised, because I'm like, when it was LaToya trying to talk about her cheating and then throw in the abuse as kind of like a blanket, it's like, no, keep your swim lanes. This happened and this happened. You're responsible for this. He's responsible for that.
Agree.
Eric is responsible 100% of the time
for his behavior
when he is being emotionally abusive. That is his responsibility. It is not because Virginia acts like this and that. It is not because Virginia is inexperienced and has an alcohol problem. These things are all true. But if we're talking about Eric, they have nothing to do with his decisions to be abusive. When Max said he weaponizes everything, he does. He weaponizes her childhood trauma. He weaponizes her words, her emotions, her anxiety. He weaponizes her abandonment issues. What do you use weapons to do? To hurt people. That is abuse. If your intent is to hurt me, to get your way, you are abusing me. If you tell me straight up to my face, I don't care what you think, and you continue to steamroll, that is you abusing me. See, what happens sometimes when you're in these types of relationships is that you can get convinced that you standing up for yourself is you also engaging at the same level. So when she goes, I'll punch you in your face, or she goes, no, you can't control, you can't make me do that, we're now going to put that stone on the other side of a scale and say it weighs as much as his 18 stones, and it doesn't. So there's just the balance. It's not a seesaw. They can both be guilty of things. We saw Virginia's face when Eric brought up possibly we should stop drinking as much. Her face fell. And then she was like, I'm not talking about it. Ooh, girl, you should talk about it with a professional, though, not Eric. But yeah, I think the issue with the weekend visits, 1 weekend a month is not enough to spend with any romantic partner. I would be very upset about that. But that's not necessarily what that conversation was. Virginia said, I'd be happy to have several days a week that are just set for you, where we don't make any plans at all, and a weekend. But what she's saying is, because she knows he's controlling, because she knows he's possessive, she's saying, don't be coming up here and feeling entitled to me canceling plans that I've had because you feel like doing something right now, when you didn't feel like doing anything before. Like he said, he just likes to stay in the house. So don't be coming now when I have plans with my friends and trying to pull a trump card and tell me what to do, because it ends up being you just yanking me around. So that's what she's saying. That's why she's fighting for the right to plan her own schedule, because she knows how he is. That's why she's fighting for the right to keep her apartment, because she knows how he is. And people just keep brushing it under the rug. But the last thing I wanted to say is, Eric is a person. Pastor Cal said this correctly, and I think actually Adjoa and I, like weeks ago, had said this in one of the group chats. Most people who are abusive learn that model from a parent or from a dynamic that they witness. Pastor Cal said he's working off of a paradigm that he sees, and he's blending that with what he's experienced, and he's come up with an average of like, this is the perfect marriage, right? And that's what he keeps throwing at her. This is how you need to be, because this is the perfect marriage. Eric thinks his parents have the perfect marriage. Eric also chose to do the same profession as his father. Most abusers are following the pattern of their father. They are following the dynamic that they saw in their household. for Eric to think this is his second marriage, and he says that his parents have an amazing, beautiful relationship. And on your second marriage, you're a month in and you're gaslighting, manipulating, and threatening and cursing people out. This girl's 8 years younger than you. That's a puppy. You have no sense of like patience, no sense of, and it's not that it's like, you guys think it has to be like a constant, unrelenting, abusive tirade for him to be what he is. He's not a Disney villain. No man is a monster. There's always going to be moments of redemption. There's even going to be moments where he's right and she's wrong. We see them. She's not perfect. Let her go ruin a relationship with someone who isn't going to abuse her in the process. Her issues will still be there, even if she frees herself from Eric. She's still going to have a drinking problem. She's still going to be emotionally immature. She's still going to have anxiety, and she's still going to have abandonment issues. But all of that is in a separate bucket from his decisions. And that's all I'm saying. So yeah, it's not, even if they stay together on decision day, they very well might. Emotional abuse is potent when applied carefully. They won't make it like more than like a year post decision day. I don't see that. At least I don't. I hope not. I hope Virginia's sister will probably get to her if he doesn't completely isolate her by then.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Let me clear up my statements, guys. So, if I've made it sound like his behavior is dependent upon her behavior, that is not what I meant. What I was saying was, I will hold them accountable on each thing. I said it from weeks before. Virginia also has controlling tendencies. You just don't see it because he's a better controller. That's what I said. I said if she had a weaker man, she would do that. Her behavior of being passive aggressive, of going to her boy's yard, will be the level of control you'd see. We'd be calling her a controller. But we don't see it because Eric's the better controller in this particular instance. So I'm not saying that he gets away with it. I'm not saying that he's even influenced by his behavior. He was going to do what he's going to do anyway. And Virginia was also going to do what she was going to do anyway, irrespective of whether it was him being a good guy or him being a bad guy. Her drinking got nothing to do with him either. She would have kept on drinking. Got nothing to do with him either. Before they went on the show, the very first video she had on, I said it'll be a problem. It didn't need Eric to be in there. Her wanting to stay at her friend's yard has got nothing to do with him. It's got everything to do with her. Her wanting to keep her friends separate from him, got nothing to do with him. It's to do with her. So they both have these tendencies which don't require any of their behaviors to influence how they behave. That's why I'm saying both of them are controlling. He's very overt with it, and we can see it naturally because of the way he comes across, the way he says things and everything that he does. Bruv, I do not like that, bruv. The way he does certain things, even the way he switched in that conversation was concerning for me. At 1 minute he was like, listen, we'll have a weekend together. Next minute he's like, no, but you need to be taking it. I was like, whoa, bro, listen, what? Whoa. It was going so well. It was going so well. Why did you go to that? And that is where I say that's where he's very overt. So you start to see if he doesn't get his way, he will bang the door until he gets his way. And that is horrible. Do you know what I mean? That is where it becomes very scary because that kind of level of abuse goes normally to physical. Because if you can't get your way, now she says no, you're going to be like, well, I'm going to drag you there to no. Do you know what I mean? So I definitely hear that. So I hope I didn't make it sound as if his behavior is dependent upon her behavior. No, I was just saying that it's also at the same time, if he had been a good man, he'd have been suffering. Because this relationship, if he was a good man, he'd be suffering. You're asking him to want to be patient with somebody who's a drunkard. Come on. That person needs therapy. They don't need a marriage. They don't need someone to be patient. They need therapy. There's nothing to save them. No one should be saving anybody. Trust me, I've been there. I've done it for you. It don't work. All right? You're not Lois. You're not Superman. None of us are. You need to let that person go to therapy. She needs therapy, not a relationship, not a marriage, not a patient man. She needs therapy because she's using drink to cover up the pains and the wounds, and he makes it excessive because he's just like her dad. That he makes it even worse for her because he's just like her dad. She's getting triggered every day she's with that man. I'll be honest with you. Every day she's with him, she gets triggered. And I don't know how even what was going on because when the sister came, I think the sister came over, and I'm sure there was probably more triggering that was going on because he had to leave that yard, and his views are similar to her dad as well. So yeah, I definitely agree. Both of them have got huge problems, and you're right. it shouldn't be that. So if I've made it that way, I do apologize, guys. It shouldn't be that his behavior is dependent upon what Virginia's done, and that's why he's reacting. He's not reacting because of that. He's doing it because he wants to do that. So I appreciate that, Layla. Thank you for checking me on that. I appreciate that as well. You know I love you, Layla. Who's next up on the batting pound? Yep, man. Who's on a batting paint? Who's up next?